his last wish before execution. To see his ex-wife, but what happened changed everything. As the clock ticked down to his final breath, all he wanted was to see his ex-wife one last time. But when she walked in and spoke, even the guards couldn't hold back their tears. The clock ticks louder than it should in the Polunsky unit, a concrete maze tucked in the heart of Livingston, Texas. It's August 2020, and the humid night presses against the prison's walls, thick with the weight of final hours. Inside a narrow 6x9 cell, Andrew M. Davis sits on a worn cot, his calloused hands clasped, his gaze locked on the steel door that separates him from the world. In less than 12 hours, he's scheduled to face the needle for a crime that shattered the quiet town of Willow Creek back in 2005. At 53, Andrew's face carries the scars of a hard life, lines etched by regret, eyes dulled by 15 years on death row. The guards know him as inmate number 4723, but to those who remember, he's a man whose choices broke everything he once held dear. Tonight, Andrew isn't focused on the gurney or the execution chamber. He's made a request that sent a ripple through the prison staff, a final wish so unexpected it's left even the seasoned warden raising an eyebrow. Andrew wants to see his ex-wife, Edith E. Hill, the woman he loved fiercely and lost long before the murder charges. The woman who picked up the pieces of their shattered family, raising their son, Michael, alone after Andrew's mistakes, drove them apart. Why her? Why now? The guards exchange hushed words in the corridor, unsure what to make of this man who seems calmer than anyone facing death should be. His attorney, a weathered public defender named Maria Lopez, says Andrew believes this meeting could shift something fundamental, not just for him, but for everyone tied to the tragedy. Outside, the Texas stars burn bright, but inside, a different kind of tension hums. Andrew's wish isn't a simple plea for closure. It's a spark, a fragile thread that could pull at truths buried for over a decade. What could he possibly say to Edith after all these years? What words could bridge the pain of a broken marriage, a son left fatherless, and a town forever marked by violence? And what could come from a moment so raw, so final, that it might rewrite the story everyone thought they knew? Let's step back to Willow Creek, 2005. A local businessman, Thomas Reed, was found dead in his home, shot twice in the chest. The town, a close-knit place where everyone knew everyone, reeled. Fingers pointed quickly to Andrew, a mechanic with a troubled past and a drinking problem, who'd argued with Reed over money days before. The evidence piled up, his fingerprints on a bottle at the scene, a witness placing him nearby, and the jury didn't hesitate. Guilty. Death penalty. Case closed. But was it? Andrews spent 15 years insisting he's not the killer, and now, with hours left, his request to see Edith hints at something bigger, something that could turn this story on its head. Now put yourself in Edith's shoes for a moment. You've rebuilt your life, raised a son, found faith and purpose after a marriage that left you scarred. Then you get a call. Your ex-husband, the man who hurt you, the man convicted of murder, wants to see you before he dies. Would you go? Would you face the past, knowing it could stir up pain you've worked so hard to bury? Or would you walk away, letting the clock run out? It's a question that cuts deep, one that forces us to wrestle with what it means to forgive, to seek truth, or to simply let go. Andrew's wish isn't just about him. It's about Edith, Michael, and the shadows of a crime that changed them all. This story, my friends, is one you won't see coming. It's a journey through love, loss, and a twist that'll leave you questioning everything. So, here's my challenge to you. Have you ever faced a moment where you had to choose between closure and walking away? Maybe it was a friend who betrayed you, a family member who let you down, or a truth you weren't ready to face. Drop your story in the comments below. I read every one, and I want to hear yours. And if you're ready for a tale that'll grip you from start to finish, hit that like button right now and subscribe to join our storytelling family. We've got a lot to uncover, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The summer of 1990 in Willow Creek, Texas, hums with life. Main Street buzzes with pickup trucks and the jangle of diner bells, where the scent of fried okra and sweet tea lingers. It's a town where everyone knows your name, and secrets don't stay buried long. At the heart of this small world, a 23-year-old Andrew M. Davis pushes through the door of Betty's Diner, his boots scuffed, his hands stained with motor oil. He's a mechanic with a reputation, charming but rough around the edges, the kind of guy who can fix a carburetor blindfolded but can't outrun his past. Born to a truck driver father and a seamstress mother, Andrew's youth was a storm of instability, frequent moves, a home fractured by his father's drinking, and brushes with the law for petty theft by 16. Yet there's a spark in him, a quick wit that draws people close. Behind the diner counter, 21-year-old Edith E. Hill pours coffee with a steady hand, her smile warm but guarded. Raised in a strict Baptist family, Edith dreams of more than Willow Creek's borders. She's saving every tip for nursing school, determined to build a life of purpose. Her faith anchors her, but her heart yearns for adventure, and Andrew's easy grin feels like a glimpse of it. He's not like the boys she grew up with. There's a rawness to him, a promise of breaking free. Their first conversation, over a slice of pecan pie, crackles with possibility. Andrew teases her about her perfect handwriting on the order pad. Edith fires back, unfazed. By the time he leaves, he's already planning his next visit. Their romance moves fast, like a Texas thunderstorm rolling across the plains. Late-night drives in Andrew's beat-up Chevy, stargazing on the edge of town, stolen kisses by the creek. Every moment feels like it could last forever. Andrew tells Edith he wants to be better, to leave his troubles behind. She believes him, sees the man he could be. Within a year, they're standing in a small church, saying vows under a stained glass window, promising to face the world together. Willow Creek watches, some with hope, others with skepticism, knowing Andrew's history. But for now, the couple is unstoppable, their love a defiant flame against the doubts. Edith's dreams of nursing school and Andrew's knack for fixing things seem like enough to build a future. In that moment, they're not just a couple, they're a story Willow Creek wants to believe in. By 1992, Andrew and Edith Davis are building a life in a modest Willow Creek rental, its walls adorned with Edith's thrift store finds and Andrew's dreams of stability. Their marriage, sealed in that small church, feels like a fresh start. Andrew lands a steady job at a local garage, his hands deft with wrenches, earning enough to keep the lights on. Edith enrolls in nursing school, her nights spent studying anatomy, while Andrew boasts about her to anyone who'll listen. In 1997, their son, Michael, arrives, a squalling bundle who cements their bond. Holding Michael, Andrew vows to be the father he never had, and Edith, exhausted but radiant, believes they're on the right path. Willow Creek sees them as a young couple defying the odds, their love a beacon in a town where hope can feel scarce. But beneath the surface, trouble brews. Andrew's drinking, once a weekend habit, creeps into weeknights. A beer after work turns into 6, then whiskey, his laughter growing sharp, his temper unpredictable. Edith notices first, the way he snaps over small things like a late dinner or a crying Michael. She urges him to cut back, her voice steady but strained, balancing school, motherhood, and a husband slipping away. Andrew promises to try, but the bottles keep appearing, hidden in the garage or under the sink. By 1998, their arguments echo through the house. Michael's wails a backdrop to shouted words. Edith's faith keeps her grounded, but her frustration mounts. She's carrying the family alone, her nursing dreams delayed by Andrew's unreliability. Have you ever watched someone you love lose their way, knowing you couldn't pull them back? It's a helpless feeling, one Edith lived every day. Share your story in the comments below, and if this hits home, hit that subscribe button to join our storytelling community. We're here for the real, raw moments. Here's a question for you. Could you forgive someone who broke your family's trust? Vote in the poll on your screen, and let's see what you think. Your voice matters, and I'm reading every comment to connect with you all. The cracks widen. Andrew's fired from the garage after showing up drunk, his charm no longer enough to save him. Edith, juggling part-time waitressing and Michael's needs, feels the weight of broken promises. Their love, once a wildfire, is smothered by resentment. In late 1998, another fight, over money, over drinking, over everything, ends with Andrew storming out. Edith, staring at Michael's sleeping face, knows something has to give. She's not ready to quit, but she's close, her resilience tested by a man who can't or won't change. Spring 1999 casts a soft light over Willow Creek, but for Edith E. Hill, the season feels heavy with finality. At 30, she sits at her scarred kitchen table, a divorce petition before her, Michael's crayons scattered nearby. The fights with Andrew over his drinking, his broken promises, have worn her down, and after a night when he didn't come home, Edith knows it's over. Her faith, a quiet anchor, steadies her as she signs the papers, choosing her son and herself over a marriage that's become a shadow. The judge grants her full custody of 2-year-old Michael, and Andrew, lost in a fog of whiskey and shame, doesn't fight it. The town whispers, some pitying Edith, others judging Andrew, but Edith focuses on moving forward, her resilience a shield against the gossip. Raising Michael alone, Edith becomes a force. She picks up extra shifts at the diner, her nursing school dreams deferred but not abandoned. Nights are long, changing diapers, soothing nightmares, studying by lamplight. But she pours love into Michael, teaching him to pray, to dream big. Her parents help, their modest home a refuge where Michael's laughter fills the gaps Andrew left. Edith's strength shines in small victories. Michael's first words, a passing grade on a biology exam, a moment of peace in church. Willow Creek sees her not as a victim, but as a mother who won't break. Her determination carving a path through hardship. Andrew, meanwhile, drifts further from redemption. Without Edith's grounding presence, his drinking deepens, his days a blur of bar stools and odd jobs. He moves to a rundown trailer on the town's edge, his mechanic skills wasted as he loses work to his unreliability. Michael's face haunts him, but shame keeps him away. He sends no birthday cards, no calls. By 2001, Andrew's a ghost in Willow Creek, his name tied to bar fights and bad debts. His failure to change, to be the father Michael needs, weighs heavier than the bottles he clutches, setting a course for the tragedy looming in 2005. The seeds of that tragedy take root in these years. Andrew's debts pile up, including one to a local businessman, Thomas Reed, whose patience wears thin. Edith, unaware, builds a life for Michael, shielding him from his father's shadow. But Willow Creek is small, and the past lingers, waiting to resurface. Andrew's choices, and Edith's resolve to rise above them, will collide in ways neither could foresee, pulling their fractured family into a story that will shake the town to its core. On June 12, 2005, Willow Creek, Texas, woke to a shock that fractured its small-town calm. Thomas Reed, a 45-year-old hardware store owner known for his firm handshake and quiet generosity, is found dead in his modest ranch house on Oak Street. 2 bullets to the chest, blood staining the hardwood, and a shattered window hint at a violent struggle. The news spreads fast. By noon, neighbors gather, murmuring prayers and disbelief. Reed was a pillar, a man who extended credit to struggling families, including, some recall, Andrew M. Davis. For Willow Creek, where violent crime is rare, this feels personal, a wound to the town's heart. Sheriff's deputies comb the scene, their boots tracking dust across Reed's porch. The evidence points in one direction. A beer bottle on the coffee table bears Andrew's fingerprints, unmistakable from his prior arrests for bar fights. A neighbor, Mrs. Clara Tate, reports seeing Andrew's beat-up truck near Reed's house that night, his silhouette lingering under a street lamp. Digging deeper, deputies learn Andrew owed Reed $2,000. A loan for car repairs gone unpaid, sparking a heated argument at the hardware store days earlier. To the investigators, it's a clear picture. Andrew, 38 and still battling his demons, had a motive, opportunity, and a history of trouble. By June 14th, they knock on his trailer door, cuffing him as he squints into the morning sun, his breath sour with last night's whiskey. Andrew's arrest sends ripples through Willow Creek. At the county jail, he sits in a holding cell, his head in his hands, insisting he didn't kill Reed. "I was there, sure, but I didn't shoot him," he tells a deputy, his voice rough but earnest. He admits to visiting Reed's house, drunk and angry about the debt, but claims he left after a shouting match. The deputies aren't convinced. Andrew's record, his drinking, and the evidence paint a damning story. The town, hungry for justice, rallies behind Reed's memory, with flyers for a memorial service plastered on every lamppost. Andrew, once a charming mechanic, is now a pariah, his name synonymous with betrayal. For Edith E. Hill, the news is a gut punch. She's 36 now, a nursing student and single mother to 8-year-old Michael, living a life she's fought hard to rebuild. Hearing Andrew's name tied to murder reopens old wounds, her past with him a shadow she can't escape. At the diner, customers whisper as she pours coffee, their eyes heavy with judgment. Michael, too young to grasp the details, overhears classmates at school, their taunts about his killer dad cutting deep. As Andrew awaits trial, the question lingers. Is he capable of this? The evidence says yes, but a flicker of doubt, born from years of knowing him, gnaws at those closest to the case, setting the stage for a trial that will test Willow Creek's faith in justice. In the spring of 2006, the Willow Creek Courthouse, a squat brick building with creaking benches, becomes the stage for Andrew M. Davis's trial. The town packs the gallery, their faces a mix of grief for Thomas Reed and anger toward the man in the orange jumpsuit. Andrew, now 39, looks hollowed out, his eyes darting as the prosecution lays out its case. They paint him as a desperate drunk, driven to murder over a $2,000 debt. The beer bottle with his fingerprints, Clara Tate's testimony placing his truck near Reed's house, and his admitted argument with Reed form a tight narrative. The prosecutor's voice booms. This was no accident. It was rage, plain and simple. The jury, mostly locals who knew Reed, nods along, their minds half made. Andrew's defense, led by an overworked public defender, Maria Lopez, crumbles under the weight of limited resources. Maria, juggling a dozen cases, has little time to dig into inconsistencies. No forensic evidence ties Andrew to the murder weapon, a .38 caliber pistol never recovered. And Clara's testimony wavers under cross-examination, her eyesight questionable at dusk. Andrew's history of alcoholism and mental health struggles, which could explain his erratic behavior, goes unmentioned. Maria pleads for reasonable doubt, but her voice is drowned by the prosecution's polish. The trial, rushed over 5 days, feels like a formality. On the final day, the jury deliberates for just 3 hours before delivering the verdict. Guilty of capital murder. The judge sentences Andrew to death. The gavels crack, sealing his fate. The conviction shakes Willow Creek, but it also raises questions. How fair is a system that leans so heavily on circumstance? Have you ever doubted the justice system's ability to get it right? Maybe you've seen a case where evidence felt too neat, or a defendant didn't get a fair shake. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading everyone to see where you stand. This story's far from over, and what's coming will make you question everything, so stick with us. The trial's flaws gnaw at those who look closer. Maria, haunted by her inability to mount a stronger defense, files an appeal, but it's a long shot. Andrew's conviction rests on assumptions, his past, his poverty, his presence at the scene, more than hard proof. For Willow Creek, the verdict brings closure, but at a cost. The town's faith in justice is tested as whispers of doubt linger in the diner and church pews. Andrew, now a member in the Polunsky unit, faces a truth harsher than the cell walls. His mistakes, not just the crime, have led him here. As he's transferred to death row, the weight of his choices and the system's failures sets the stage for a reckoning no one sees coming. The gavel's echo fades in Willow Creek, but the 2006 conviction of Andrew M. Davis leaves scars that linger. For Edith E. Hill, now 37, the verdict is a fresh wound. As a nursing student and single mother, she's worked hard to carve a life apart from Andrew. But his crime drags her back into the town's spotlight. At the diner, regulars lower their voices when she passes, their glances heavy with pity or suspicion. How could she not have known, they murmur, as if her past marriage makes her complicit. Edith holds her head high, her faith a quiet shield, but the judgment stings. She lies awake at night, questioning how the man she once loved could fall so far, and whether she missed signs that could have changed this path. For 9-year-old Michael, the trial is a haze of confusion and pain. At school, classmates taunt him, calling his dad a murderer, their words cutting deeper than playground scrapes. Michael, who barely remembers Andrew's face, clings to fleeting memories. A rough hand ruffling his hair, a promise of a fishing trip that never happened. He asks Edith why his father did it, his small voice trembling. But she has no answers, only a hug and a prayer. The town's anger toward Andrew spills onto Michael, isolating him in a way no child should endure. Edith shields him as best she can, but the ripple effects of the crime fracture their world, leaving Michael caught between love for a father he doesn't know and the weight of a guilty verdict. Andrew, now on death row in the Polunsky unit, faces a harsher isolation. Transferred to a cell where the walls seem to close in, he's stripped of the town's familiarity, reduced to a number. The death sentence hangs like a storm cloud, each day a reminder of his failures, not just the trial, but the choices that led him here. He writes to Edith once, a shaky letter begging forgiveness, but gets no reply. Alone, he grapples with the truth of Thomas Reed's death, a truth that might not be as simple as the jury believed. As he stares at the ceiling, a flicker of hope persists, something he needs to tell Edith, something that could shift everything. Willow Creek moves on, but the case leaves a mark. The justice system, meant to protect, feels fragile when a man's life hinges on flimsy evidence and a rushed trial. And there's more to this story, a twist waiting just beyond the horizon that'll make you rethink it all. Stay with us. You won't believe where this leads. August 2020 dawns heavy over Willow Creek, Texas, where the past clings like dust to every corner. In the Polunsky unit, Andrew M. Davis, now 53, is a changed man, or so he claims. 15 years on death row have stripped him of the reckless edge that once defined him. His hair is gray, his frame gaunt, but his eyes carry a clarity absent in his younger days. Through prison faith programs, Andrew has found solace in weekly Bible studies, his trembling hands tracing verses about redemption. The guards notice it. He's quieter, more reflective, no longer the man who shouted at shadows. With his execution date set for August 25th, Andrew makes a request that jolts the prison's routine. He wants to see his ex-wife, Edith E. Hill, one last time. His attorney, Maria Lopez, now working pro bono, relays the message, her voice tinged with surprise. He says it's not just about forgiveness, Maria tells the warden. He needs to tell her something. In Austin, where Edith has built a new life, the call from Maria lands like a stone through glass. At 51, Edith is a registered nurse, her days spent tending to patients with a calm born of hard-won strength. She's raised Michael, now 23, into a thoughtful young man, and her faith has guided her through years of healing. Her second marriage to James Hill, a steady schoolteacher, offers stability. Andrew never could. Yet the mention of Andrew's name stirs a storm of memories, love that burned bright, pain that cut deep. Edith hesitates, her fingers tightening around the phone. Why should she face him? He broke her heart, abandoned their son, and now carries the weight of Thomas Reed's murder. The town's judgment still lingers in her mind, those years when whispers followed her every step. Going to Polunsky means reopening wounds she's spent decades closing. At home, Edith wrestles with the decision. Michael, home from college, senses her unease and asks about his father, his voice a mix of curiosity and guarded hurt. He's got no right to ask for you, Michael says, but Edith sees the boy who once waited for Andrew's calls. Her faith, a compass through life's trials, nudges her toward compassion. What if Andrew's changed? What if this is a chance for closure, not just for him, but for her and Michael? She prays, her knees pressed into the worn carpet, seeking guidance. The answer comes quietly. Forgiveness isn't about deserving, it's about choosing grace. By August 14th, Edith decides to go, driven by a belief that facing Andrew might heal something broken, even if she can't name it yet. As she prepares for the trip, a knot of anticipation tightens. What could Andrew possibly say after all these years, and why does it feel like this moment could change everything? On August 15th, 2020, Edith E. Hill steps into the Polunsky Unit's visitation room, a sterile box of cinder block and glass. The air feels thick, the hum of fluorescent lights a faint pulse against her nerves. At 51, Edith carries herself with quiet resolve, her nurse's scrubs traded for a simple blouse, her hands clasped to steady the tremor of anticipation. Across the glass partition, Andrew M. Davis appears, shackled and gaunt, his gray hair cropped close, his eyes brighter than she remembers. The guard steps back, and for the first time in 21 years, they face each other, separated by more than just glass. The weight of their shared past, love, loss, and a town's judgment, hangs heavy in the silence. Andrew speaks first, his voice low but steady. Edith, I don't deserve this. I hurt you, Michael, everyone. I'm sorry. His words, raw and unpolished, catch her off guard. He speaks of his prison years, how faith pulled him from despair, how he sees Michael's face in every prayer. Edith listens, her heart torn between skepticism and a flicker of recognition. This isn't the angry man she knew. She shares her pain, her voice cracking as she recounts raising Michael alone, the whispers that followed her after his arrest. Andrew nods, his gaze never wavering, absorbing her words like a penance. Then, the confession. Andrew leans closer, his voice dropping. I didn't kill Thomas Reed. I was there, drunk, fighting about the debt. But I didn't pull the trigger. Carl Weston did. He names a local drug dealer, known to Willow Creek's underbelly, claiming Weston shot Reed over a deal gone wrong. Andrew stayed silent, fearing Weston's reach and doubting anyone would believe him. Edith's breath catches. Carl Weston, a name she's heard in passing, tied to trouble. Is this truth or desperation? Andrew's eyes, steady and pleading, challenge her to believe him. Would you trust someone who hurt you if they swore they were innocent? It's a question that cuts deep, one Edith faces in this moment. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to choose between doubt and belief? And if this story's gripping you, hit that like button and share this video to spread this incredible tale. Your support keeps our storytelling alive, and I'm reading every comment to connect with you. Edith leaves the prison shaken, Andrew's words echoing in her mind. The confession feels like a lifeline, but doubt clings to her. She remembers Andrew's lies, his broken promises. Yet, his sincerity, so unlike the man she divorced, plants a seed of possibility. As she drives back to Austin, the Texas sunset blazing, Edith feels a pull to forgive not for Andrew, but for herself, and to seek the truth, whatever it costs. The visit has shifted something fundamental, and she knows she can't let it rest. The drive back to Austin on August 15th, 2020, stretches long and quiet, the Texas horizon glowing red as Edith E. Hill wrestles with Andrew's words. His confession that Carl Weston, a known drug dealer, killed Thomas Reed, not him, feels like a stone dropped into still water, its ripples unsettling everything Edith thought she knew. At 51, she's faced hard truths before, but this one tests her. Andrew's voice, steady and stripped of the old bravado, haunts her, his claim backed by a sincerity she hasn't seen since their early days. Yet, caution grips her heart. She knows the Andrew who broke vows, who left her and Michael to fend for themselves. Is this truth, or a cornered man's last play? The uncertainty churns as she navigates the darkening road. At home, Edith kneels by her bedside, her Bible worn from years of seeking guidance. Forgiveness, her faith teaches, is a choice, not a feeling, a way to free herself from the past's hold. She thinks of Michael, 23, and wrestling with his father's shadow, his recent questions about Andrew revealing a need for answers. If Andrew's innocent, pursuing the truth could mend something for Michael, for Reed's family, even for Willow Creek. If he's lying, she risks stirring pain for no gain. The stakes feel impossibly high, but her courage, forged through years of single motherhood and nursing, pushes back against fear. In the quiet, she resolves to act, trusting her faith to light the way, no matter the outcome. By August 16th, Edith is on the phone with Maria Lopez, Andrew's attorney, probing about Carl Weston. Maria shares what she knows. Weston was a fixture in Willow Creek's rough corners in 2005, with arrests for assault and drug trafficking. It's not proof, but it's a thread worth pulling. Edith dives into research, her nurse's precision guiding her as she sifts through online archives, finding reports of Weston's run-ins with the law. The pieces don't yet fit, but they're enough to fuel her next step. On August 19th, she emails Laura Bennett, a journalist whose podcast exposes flaws in the justice system. Laura, drawn to Edith's story, a nurse staking her piece on an ex-husband's word, arranges a meeting. In a bustling Austin cafe, Edith lays out Andrew's claim, her hands steady as she passes Laura a notebook of her findings. Laura's nod signals a spark. This could be a story that shifts everything. Edith's choice to reach out marks a pivot. Her faith has guided her to forgive enough to listen, her courage to chase a truth that could upend Willow Creek's narrative. As she leaves the cafe, a weight lifts, not certainty but purpose. Laura's investigation, now beginning, promises to dig where others stopped, and what she finds will challenge every assumption about Andrew's guilt. The fight for truth is just starting, and it's one you'll want to see unfold. In late August 2020, Willow Creek, Texas, feels the stir of something new. Edith E. Hill's meeting with journalist Laura Bennett lights a fuse, and Laura's podcast, Justice Unearthed, becomes the spark. At 51, Edith pours her resolve into the effort, driven by a faith-fueled courage that Andrew's confession, implicating Carl Weston in Thomas Reed's 2005 murder, holds truth. Laura, a sharp-eyed reporter with a knack for exposing systemic flaws, dives into the case. She and Edith meet weekly, sifting through court records and old police reports in Laura's cluttered Austin office. Edith's nurse's precision shines, spotting details others missed. A 2005 arrest report tying Weston to a stolen .38 caliber pistol, the same type used in Reed's murder, never followed up by investigators. Laura's podcast launches its first episode on August 20th, titled The Willow Creek Shadow. Her voice, steady and compelling, lays out Andrew's conviction, the shaky evidence, fingerprints on a beer bottle, a questionable witness, and Weston's possible role. Listeners flood the comments, drawn to Edith's story, a woman risking her hard-won peace for an ex-husband's claim. The podcast gains traction, its downloads climbing into the thousands. Laura tracks down a former associate of Weston's who hints at a drug deal gone sour with Reed, corroborating Andrew's account. A retired deputy, uneasy about the original investigation, agrees to speak anonymously, revealing pressure to close the case quickly. Each episode tightens the case against Weston, casting doubt on Andrew's guilt. Edith brings Michael, now 23, into the fold. A college student with his mother's quiet strength, Michael has long grappled with Andrew's absence and the murderer label. When Edith shares the podcast, he listens, his skepticism warring with a buried hope. The episodes stir memories, a faint recollection of his father's laugh, a promise unkept. And he begins to question the narrative he's carried. At a family dinner, Michael asks Edith, "What if he's telling the truth?" His voice betrays a longing to know the father he lost. Edith, seeing his pain, encourages him to read the case files, hoping it will heal as much as it informs. Michael starts attending meetings with Laura, his analytical mind catching inconsistencies in the trial's witness statements. As the execution date of August 25th looms, the investigation races against time. Laura's podcast sparks protests outside the Polunsky unit, with signs reading, "Justice for Andrew." Social media amplifies the call, hashtags trending as listeners demand a review. Edith, balancing hospital shifts and research, feels the weight of every hour, her faith tested but unwavering. Michael, still hesitant, begins to see his father not as a monster, but a man caught in a flawed system. The momentum builds, but the clock ticks louder, and Andrew's fate hangs in a fragile balance, setting the stage for a fight that will demand everything from those who love him. As August 2020 races toward its close, Michael Davis, now 23, stands at a crossroads. The college student, once hardened by his father Andrew's absence, finds his skepticism crumbling under the weight of Laura Bennett's podcast, Justice Unearthed. Each episode detailing Carl Weston's ties to the 2005 murder of Thomas Reed chips away at the murderer label Michael has carried for his father. At a meeting with Laura and Edith, Michael pores over case files, his analytical mind catching a discrepancy. A witness who claimed to see Andrew's truck now admits uncertainty. "This could have changed the trial," he says, his voice tight with a mix of anger and hope. Edith, watching her son, sees a shift. He's not just questioning Andrew's guilt, he's starting to care. Michael's transformation deepens. He begins speaking at small rallies outside the Polunsky unit, his words raw but powerful. "My dad made mistakes, but he doesn't deserve to die for something he didn't do." The crowd, fueled by the podcast's growing reach, chants for justice, their signs a sea of defiance. Michael's pain, years of taunts about his killer dad, missed birthdays, fuels his fight, but so does a buried longing to know Andrew. He writes to his father, a hesitant letter sharing memories of a fishing trip that never happened, and Andrew's reply, filled with regret and pride, cements Michael's resolve. He joins Laura in tracking down a key witness, a bartender who saw Weston near Reed's house that night, adding weight to the case. Have you ever fought for justice or truth, even when the odds seemed stacked against you? Maybe it was a cause, a friend, or a family member caught in a system that failed them. Share your story in the comments. I'm reading everyone to connect with you. Your voice fuels this community, so hit that like button if this story's got you hooked. The execution date, August 25th, looms like a gathering storm. Laura's podcast hits 1 million downloads, its final episode airing August 24th, revealing the bartender's testimony and the .38 pistol linked to Weston. Protests swell and social media erupts, pressuring Texas officials. Edith, Michael, and Laura work tirelessly, their hope fragile as Maria Lopez files a last-minute appeal. On August 25th, hours before the scheduled execution, tension grips the Polunsky unit. Andrew, in his cell, clutches a worn Bible, preparing for the end. Then a call from Maria. A federal judge grants a stay, citing new evidence. Cheers erupt outside, and Michael, standing with Edith, feels tears he didn't expect. The stay isn't freedom, but it's time. Time to prove Andrew's innocence, to rebuild what was lost, and to show Willow Creek that collective action can bend the arc of justice. Spring 2021 arrives in Willow Creek, Texas, with a breeze that carries a sense of renewal. On April 12th, Andrew M. Davis, 54, walks out of the Polunsky unit, his steps tentative but free after 16 years on death row. The moment is the culmination of a fight sparked by Edith's courage and fueled by Laura Bennett's podcast, Justice Unearthed. DNA evidence, meticulously uncovered, ties a cigarette butt from Thomas Reed's 2005 crime scene to Carl Weston, a drug dealer whose confession in January 2021 unravels the case against Andrew. Weston, facing his own trial, admits to shooting Reed over a botched deal, a truth buried by a rushed investigation. A Texas judge, citing profound miscarriages of justice, overturns Andrew's conviction, and Willow Creek reels, diner conversations hum, church pews fill with murmured apologies, and the town confronts its haste in condemning a man they once knew. Outside the prison, under a sky streaked with clouds, Edith E. Hill, 52, stands with Michael, 24, their faces etched with cautious hope. Edith, her nurse's resilience now a beacon, wears a simple dress, her hands steady despite the weight of this day. Michael, a college student who found his voice in rallies, shifts nervously, his eyes searching the gate. When Andrew appears, his frame thin, his gray hair catching the light, time seems to pause. Edith steps forward first, her hand brushing Andrew's arm, a quiet gesture of forgiveness forged through pain and truth. "You're here," she says, her voice soft but sure. Andrew's eyes well up, his nod a silent vow to honor her trust. Michael hesitates, memories of childhood taunts. "Your dad's a killer," clashing with the man before him. Then he moves, his embrace fierce, a son reclaiming a father. "I missed you," Michael whispers, and Andrew's choked, "I'm so sorry," seals a bond fractured but not lost. The reunion is more than a family's healing. It's a testament to what's possible when people refuse to look away. Laura's podcast, with millions of downloads, turned listeners into advocates, their protests and petitions forcing a system to bend. Edith's choice to believe Andrew's confession, despite years of hurt, set the stage. Michael's transformation from a boy scarred by absence to a man leading rallies gave the fight heart. Together, they proved collective action can rewrite endings. Willow Creek, once quick to judge, grapples with its role. At the hardware store, Reed's old friends hang a photo in his memory, acknowledging justice for him too, through Weston's conviction. Some townsfolk approach Edith at the market, offering quiet words of regret, while others wrestle privately with their assumptions. Andrew, humbled by freedom, finds purpose in small acts, volunteering at a church food pantry, sharing his story to inspire others. Edith, her faith deepened, feels a peace she hadn't known, her choice to forgive a gift to herself as much as Andrew. Michael, now studying law, channels his advocacy into helping others wronged by the system, his father's letters a touchstone. Their lives, forever changed, carry a truth. Redemption is earned through accountability, not erasure. Reconciliation is choosing love over resentment, and collective action, from one woman's resolve to a community's voice, can shift the course of justice. As Andrew, Edith, and Michael drive away from Polunsky, Willow Creek's fields stretching wide, their story lingers. It's a reminder that second chances come through struggle, that families can heal through truth, and that justice, though flawed, can be reclaimed when people stand together. This isn't just Andrew's victory. It's a call to anyone who believes in fighting for what's right, no matter the cost. Willow Creek, Texas, rests quietly under a 2021 sky, its fields and streets a testament to a story that changed everything. Andrew M. Davis's journey, from a troubled mechanic to a death row inmate, transformed by faith and freed by truth, shows redemption is possible, but never easy. Edith E. Hill's courage, choosing to face her ex-husband's confession despite a past of pain, sparked a fight that rewrote justice. Michael, their son, healed old wounds by embracing his father's cause, finding purpose in a bond once lost. Their story, woven through love, betrayal, and a 2005 murder, isn't just theirs. It's a mirror for us all, reflecting what it means to forgive, to stand firm, to seek truth. Let's name the lessons clearly, because they're not just words, they're tools for life. Forgiveness, as Edith showed, doesn't erase pain. It sets you free to live without its weight. Accountability, Andrew's hard-won lesson, means facing your mistakes, not running from them, whether it's a broken promise or a life off track. Justice, flawed as it was in Willow Creek, can be reclaimed when people demand it, as Laura's podcast and Michael's rallies proved. Courage, Edith's quiet strength, is choosing to act even when doubt screams to stop, whether it's confronting a painful past or chasing a faint hope. Redemption, Andrew's new path, comes not from erasing the past, but from building something better with the time you're given. These lessons aren't locked in Willow Creek. They're yours to carry. Think about your own life, a grudge you might release, a mistake you need to own, a truth you're afraid to chase. Maybe it's forgiving a friend who let you down, holding yourself accountable for a choice that hurt someone, or standing up for what's right, even if it's hard. Andrew, Edith, and Michael didn't just survive. They showed us how to live with purpose. What lesson from their story hits you the hardest? Drop it in the comments below. I'm reading everyone to hear your voice. If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe for more tales that change how you see the world, and share this video to inspire someone else. Your support keeps this community growing. As we leave Willow Creek, let's carry their story forward. Andrew volunteers at a church now, his hands steady, his heart open. Edith, at peace, tends to her patients with deeper empathy. Michael, studying law, fights for others caught in broken systems. Their lives, reshaped by truth and love, remind us that second chances are earned through effort, that families can heal through choice, and that justice bends when we stand together. This isn't the end. It's a beginning, a call to reflect, to act, to make your own story one of courage and redemption.